Thanks for coming to Politics and Life. This is Jordan. I hope everyone is having a blessed day. If you would not mind, please like, comment, and hit that subscribe button below. Also, if there's anything you want me to react to or talk about in the future, just let me know in the comment section. Today, we are reacting to one of the funniest owns I've ever seen in regards to fake news, and that is CNN's own Caitlin Collins. As you know, the left has been fear-mongering about these illegal immigrants who have broken our federal laws to come into this country illegally, getting deported recently. In regards to one person, supposedly, I don't know the name, I don't know the background story, but all I know is that the left-wing big media news chains have been obsessed with it. They don't care about Americans dying, getting killed, raped, kidnapped by illegals, or that they're breaking our federal laws. They're obsessed with this one illegal who has rights, but don't care about, as I said, Americans who've gotten attacked on a daily basis the past 4 years under the previous administration. This, ladies and gentlemen, just shows how biased they are and just shows how crooked they are to the core and how they are just Democrat Party plants and props. It's really that simple. Because if they really cared and if they were really neutral and real news, which we know Caitlin Collins is disgusting and far from, they would be reporting on all violence, all cases, and not just being biased about every single thing that's has to do with Trump and just giving him praise. But anyways, today he was doing a live interview with El Salvador president, and Caitlin Collins, as usual, asked a very dumb question, and Trump and his whole cabinet, actually 3 members, actually clown her, and it's such a funny 5-minute live video, and it's usually this is the stuff that happens behind the scenes, not live for the world to see, and I'm here for it. But before we start that 5-6 minute clip, we're going to react to Stephen Miller putting the fake news press corps in place this morning, and then we're going to react to that viral clip going around the internet today. Let's get it started. Please like, comment, hit that subscribe button below.
The difference. Any of you, please. Do you?
Well, we're not in the government.
But you couldn't even spend 72 hours over the weekend learning the distinction, even though you've been writing and talking about it this whole time.
Stephen, we're not going anywhere. On the gold cards.
Just raise your hand. Does any of you know the difference between a deportation order and a withholding order?
My question is, how do you know that he's a member of M13? The White House has repeatedly said according to intelligence.
By the way, according to our government and his government. In other words, his government has confirmed based on their own intelligence that he's a member of MS-13. First of all, do you dispute that he's an illegal alien?
What's that?
Do you dispute that he's an illegal alien?
No.
Okay. And do you dispute that as an illegal alien, we have the right to deport him?
He's going through
he went through the legal process. So I want to be very. What I'm getting from this conversation, which is educational for me, is that not one person in the media knows the difference between a deportation order and a withholding order.
I mean, I'm not surprised at this point. CNN, MSNBC, all these fake news leftists, I mean, even Fox, I have a lot of criticism over them, but at least they will call these people illegal. CNN and these places on the left won't even call these people who broke our federal laws and came into the country illegally under Biden and Kamala illegals. It's just that alone will show you their true bias and show that they will never hold anyone accountable and will continue trying to lie and pander to the woke mob while hating on Trump and lying about him. And it's pathetic. And the American public voted against it this last election, and they still have not came to realization that Democrat Party is done. They are tanking. No one trusts them anymore.
Is that a fair statement? You're learning about this all for the first time right now? I guess so. Okay. So
it shouldn't even be there.
Order means the judge has said he must be deported from the country. He has no right to remain here any longer. He must be removed from the country. So his only options are to be deported to his home country or another country. That's it. There's no other option. He doesn't get to stay here. He doesn't get to live here. He has no future here. He has no right to be here. He's an illegal alien. So when you keep saying return, because you've been spun up by the open borders advocates, you all seem to be operating under the illusion that he would be able to come to the United States and just continue to live here illegally. That's not an option available to him. His only choices in life are to live in El Salvador or to live in another country. That's it. There's no other option, legally or otherwise, because he came to our country illegally. Do you understand that?
Stephen, can I ask, as a matter of policy, does the administration believe that immigration judges, because they're under DOJ, that their orders can be overruled by what the administration wants? Is that a general matter of policy?
Well, actually, so specifically, is the Attorney General has authority to overrule the immigration courts, and that's actually by statute. Yes. Other questions?
Stephen, on the gold card,
the president and Secretary Lutnick suggested they're lining up applicants already. How many people do you expect to be tagged to this program when the president announces it this week, if he actually announces it this week? I'll let Secretary Lutnick provide that update, but I appreciate that.
White House administration to also report 1 million undocumented people.
And much more than that. Much more.
Yeah, we have what? At least they said it was 15 to 20 million illegals in our country. I guarantee it's so much more than that because a lot of these people are gotaways, sneaking through the crevices while the Border Patrol were busy. So, I mean, I'd say it's probably double that. I'd say there's close to 30 to 40 million people that are in our country illegally that need to be deported back to their own country. Sorry, not sorry.
And Stephen, also of the 10 alleged gang members that Secretary Rubio said were sent to El Salvador over the weekend, what sort of due process did they get as mandated by the Supreme Court?
Due process.
Well, you're talking about the alien enemies?
Yes, the alien.
So first of all, a number of those are MS-13. So again, those are just standard removals of El Salvadorians to El Salvador. And without
what evidence did you provide that they were MS-13?
Okay, so we seem to be confused about this. Illegal alien.
Now they actually care about evidence and proof. When it came to Biden and the Democrats, even still up till this point, in regards to Doge, for example, these Democrats have zero proof that Elon is getting rich or that there's no corruption being exposed when it's easily true to find that there is evidence and fraud being exposed, and they don't ever correct it. But when it comes to deporting a couple of illegals who are criminals, by the way, they are so for defending them every step of the way.
Aliens from El Salvador, again, get deported to El Salvador. Do you all appreciate that like tens of thousands of El Salvadorians have been deported to El Salvador? You seem to be under the impression that El Salvadorians living in our country illegally just get to stay here. They don't. They get arrested and deported.
Exactly.
The fact that they're MS-13 just puts an extra priority on our deporting them. But we would deport someone to El Salvador regardless of whether or not they were MS-13 if they were here illegally. That's just an extra, because of the priority on public safety threats, we're emphasizing the removals of gang members, in this case, foreign terrorist organization gang members. But as to your other question, they went through all of the due process, as you would call it, that is required by law. So, but I just want to, what I find so mystifying is that I've been talking to you all for a very long time. I legitimately, in my entire, going back years actually, in my entire professional life, I've never received this many questions from the media about an American who was raped or murdered by an illegal alien. Legitimately, never.
Exactly.
And all of you who are enjoying your lives and doing quite well, if you had children and you were living near any of these people.
Because they're paid puppets for the DNC. It's really that simple. Funded by George Soros and our taxpayer dime, funneled right through USAID, right back into the pockets of these Democrat big media conglomerates. And our taxes fund this propaganda from the left. It's so disgusting.
People, you would move away immediately. You would call the police immediately. You would call us and ask us to make you and your family safer immediately. And you thank your lucky stars every night that you have enough means and enough money not to live in communities where, say, illegal alien pedophiles offend and reoffend and keep reoffending and keep reoffending. There's an expression there, but for the grace of God, go I. The Biden administration apprehended 2 illegal aliens from Venezuela. They were trained air offer. A lot more than 2, so I'm telling you 2. And they decided they were entitled to an enormous amount of due process. And they didn't feel they had enough evidence to just deport them right away. So they put them on a monitoring system known as supervised release. You're familiar with this case. But a few weeks later, they kidnapped a young girl named Jocelyn Nungri, who was 12 years old at the time. I'm sure you've seen pictures of her. Just the most perfect girl you could possibly imagine. And her mother loved her very much. She was tied up, savagely beaten, stripped naked, tortured to death, murdered. Her body was dumped into the lake. So she didn't get any due process, but I'll tell you who did are the 2 illegal aliens from Venezuela who stole her forever. And there's stories like that all over the country. We just arrested a pedophile illegal alien who's being shielded by Sanctuary City, who's been charged in 20 sex crimes against children. None of you, any of you have had the chance to spend time with families, with children.
Guarantee they haven't even brought up the subject at all that it even happened, or brought it to the front, like so that people know that like they're aware of this happening, or that there's people like this in our country. I know this, but I mean people that watch CNN do not know that. And it's disgusting that they are disregarding these type of people and not speaking about these type of people, and instead obsessing over one person that might have either they may have not should have sent to El Salvador prison or El Salvador, but I think they should have. But it's just amazing. The left-wing media is a dying breed that needs to die sooner, I believe.
Children have been raped, certain wives have been raped, murdered. But if that doesn't break your heart, nothing will. I know that we have some people, like Taylor Lawrence, who fantasize about assassinations and things like that. But in a civilized society, the power of the state is used to keep innocent people alive and to keep innocent women and children from being hurt. This administration is never going to apologize for using the power of the state to keep men, women, and children from being savagely murdered and beaten. If we release known and suspected MS-13 and trained Aragua, and then there's another Jocelyn Hungry, then whose responsibility is that going to be? Do you think that we're going to sit around wringing our hands, wondering if, maybe we should, release this person, give them a little bit of extra time, give them a little bit extra chance to plead their case, and then what? They kidnap somebody, they slit their throat, they shoot them in the head, and we say, well, at least the illegal alien got due process. They're here illegally.
Exactly.
The only place that they deserve to go is to some country other than our country.
Exactly.
And it's not a statistic. These are real lives. These are real families. There's whole neighborhoods in Los Angeles controlled by illegal alien Mexican street gangs. Entire neighborhoods where you have to live in fear because of individuals here illegally engaging in extortion and crime. Not to mention the fentanyl. You have cartels that have functional control over the entire northern territory in Mexico who are pumping fentanyl, lacing our drugs with this chemical. Children are ending up dead. They're going out to a weekend party. They think they're taking something safe, and they get a heart attack and they die by the thousands. So we're not going to apologize for doing something about that. And I just wish we lived in a country where the media gave to 1/10 a damn as much about Americans who were murdered and brutalized and savagely killed to death as they did about whether illegal aliens that we all agree are illegal aliens should get 1 million days in court and 1 million trials and 1 million this and 1 million that. There's 15 million illegal aliens that violate the country. If every one of them got the trial that you're asking for, it would take us centuries to remove them. Centuries. Yep. We've been talking about this in 300-400 years. Their great-great-great-grandchildren would be the ones representing them in court. That's how long it would take.
It's true.
Illegal aliens who come to our country have to be removed, and they have to be removed quickly. And that is an essential component of having something that we like to call a country.
Stephen, on the matter of visa restrictions, the president on his first day, the president on his first day in office signed an executive order calling on his administration, the Department of Homeland Security, State Department, DNI, to come up with a list of countries that did meet the United States' vetting standards and to potentially put full or partial visa restrictions on those countries. I just want to know what is the status of that report that was due to the administration last month? Do you have a list yet of countries?
So the State Department has done the work that you're describing. It's currently going through the standard review process. I don't have an update beyond that, but I mean you're correct in your statement that this was a product that was called for at the beginning of the administration, and it's being worked on, and hope to have a further update for you soon. Last question.
Love it.
Say that one of the best arguments for sending undocumented criminals to El Salvador is cost. When it comes to this White House considering sending U.S. citizens to El Salvador because of being criminals, is that the same argument? Cost.
What?
So the El Salvador.
Also, the left-wing news, especially on The View, I see them saying disgusting comments the other day saying that soon they're going to start deporting minority Americans out of this country just because, they're racist and they're bigots. That is not the case. There are going to be mistakes, but I would prefer one mistake to getting millions of illegals out of this country than to just keep all of these criminals, pedophiles, and gang members into this country while doing nothing. So, I mean, the leftist talking points just are so worn out. No one believes them. We need these illegals out of here. You are illegally here. Get out.
Dorian deportation program is for illegal aliens. But I would also say that on the cost point, what we're referring to is the fact that long-term incarceration in the United States, probably costs like 100x what it costs to send somebody to El Salvador. So that's in other words, if an illegal alien commits a crime in this country and then has to go into our judicial and penal system, I don't know the exact numbers, and I'm assuming it's probably like 100x cost. But I'll just close by saying the amount of lives that we've saved since we showed up by shutting down the border, since President Trump issued his executive orders and began deporting criminals, is already in the thousands. And by the way, we've been out looking for the 500,000 children that Biden trafficked in this country. The stories we've already uncovered of sex trafficking and labor trafficking and child abuse is beyond imagination. 500,000 minors were smuggled into this country.
Disgusting.
And the administration not only didn't do anything to prevent it, in every way they funded it, subsidized it, facilitated it, supported it, contributed to it. That if any American citizen did these things, they'd be in jail for life.
Yeah, and also our taxes funded this nonsense. It's disgusting that the government and these officials allowed this to continue. That is treason at the highest order, I believe. This is the most viral clip of the day. Trump and his cabinet members, also the El Salvador president, clown fake news journalist CNN Collins. Let's get it, y'all.
Return the man who your administration says was mistakenly deported. The man who was mistakenly deported to El Salvador.
Well, let me ask.
She's such an idiot.
Answer that question.
Sure, President. First and foremost, he was illegally in our country. He had been illegally in our country. And in 2019, two courts, an immigration court and an appellate immigration court, ruled that he was a member of.
Before they get away from Pam Bondi, man, she's such a disappointment. Her and Cash Patel, I'd say Pam Bondi's even worse. She has said on 5 occasions while she's on her daily occurrences on Fox News, oh, they're coming. We just got to review them. Nothing. Nada. Instead, they are just arresting people who are burning down and attacking Tesla workers and Tesla dealerships, which I support. But we have so much fraud. January 6th insurrection that we know the Democrats set up. We have the Epstein files, which you have not released nothing. Actually, you're preventing it from being released. Adam Schiff, who coerced this whole insurrection and the Russia hoax, featuring with Hillary Clinton and the paid affidavit that started the Russia hoax. I mean, the pizza parties for Pizzagate, the Diddy files. She has done jack shit. And I'm sorry, Trump, she is making your administration lose votes. The longer you keep her on this cabinet, I like everyone, but I cannot stand Pam Bondi. She is a deep state swamp. I'm not going to cuss. I want to cuss when speaking about her because I cannot stand this woman. She is a disgusting human being for the stuff she is not doing. But anyways, resume the tape.
Of MS-13, and he was illegally in our country. Right now, it was additional paperwork had needed to be done. That's up to El Salvador if they want to return him. That's not up to us. The Supreme Court ruled, President, that if, as El Salvador wants to return him, this is international matters, foreign affairs, if they wanted to return him, we would facilitate it, meaning provide a plane.
So will you return him?
And you are doing a great job.
She's so dumb. That's all they care about.
Wait a minute. Can you just also respond to that question? Because, it's asked by CNN, and they always ask it with a slant because they're totally slanted because they don't. That's why nobody's watching them. But
dude, Trump is the funniest president in history. He has such a way with his words where he can just clown on a network and make it look so funny at the same time.
you answered that question also.
Yes, gladly. So, as Pam mentioned, there's an illegal alien from El Salvador. So, with respect to you, he's a citizen of El Salvador. So, it's very arrogant even for American media to suggest that we would even tell El Salvador how to handle their own citizens as a starting point. As 2 immigration courts found that he was a member of MS-13. When President Trump declared MS-13 to be a foreign terrorist organization, that meant that he was no longer eligible under federal law, which I'm sure you know, you're very familiar with the INA, that he was no longer eligible for any form of immigration relief in the United States. So he had a deportation order that was valid, which meant that under our law, he's not even allowed to be present in the United States and had to be returned because of the foreign terrorist designation. This issue was then, by a district court judge, completely inverted, and a district court judge tried to tell the administration that they had to kidnap a citizen of El Salvador and fly him back here. That issue was raised to the Supreme Court.
These judges are so corrupt.
The district court order was unlawful, and its main components were reversed 9-0 unanimously, stating clearly that neither Secretary of State nor the president could be compelled by anybody to forcibly retrieve a citizen of El Salvador from El Salvador, who again is a member of MS-13, which is, I'm sure you understand, rapes little girls, murders women, murders children, is engaged in the most barbaric activities in the world. And I can promise you, if he was your neighbor, you would move right away.
So you don't plan
But
to
the
ask for
Supreme
it
Court's
to get it
asking
back?
to.
Oh my gosh. It is amazing all the violence and criminality that they ignore on a daily basis. But when it comes to an illegal that shouldn't be here, they are just obsessed with asking the same question over and over. Shame on Caitlin Coleman's disgusting human being.
Yes, it's a 9-0
In our favor.
in our favor against the district court ruling, saying that no district court has the power to compel the foreign policy function of the United States. As Pam said, the ruling solely stated that if this individual at El Salvador's sole discretion was sent back to our country, that we could deport him a second time.
Well,
No version of this legally ends up with him ever living here because he is a citizen of El Salvador. That is the president of El Salvador. Your questions about it, per the court, can only be directed to him.
I asked
¿Usted lo
President
liberaría,
Bukele,
Presidente
what is
Bukele?
can President Bukele weigh in on this? Do you plan to return him?
Well, I mean, those who are suggesting that I smuggle a terrorist into the United States.
It's always
How can I smuggle? How can I return him to the United States? Like I smuggle him into the United States. Of course, I'm not going to do it. It's like
Good guy. He's the Trump of El Salvador.
Smuggle a terrorist into the United States. I don't have the power to return him to the United States. Yeah, but I'm not releasing. I mean, we're not very fond of releasing terrorists into our country. I mean, we just turned the murder capital of the world into the safest country of the Western Hemisphere, and you want us to go back into the
Yeah, they do. Because liberals are for that.
The murder capital of the world. That's not going to happen.
Well, they'd love to have a criminal,
Yeah,
released into
I mean, there's a fascination.
They would love it.
Yeah.
They're sick, these are sick people.
I love it, dude. Trump's a boss, man. He's going to tell you what it is straight up. These are sick people. Caitlin Collins is a sick individual. She has no brain, first of all, so it makes sense why she's so dumb. But, I mean, they care more for these illegals and criminals than they do law-abiding citizens.
Mark, do you have something to say about
Yeah, I mean, Stephen outlined it. I don't understand what the confusion is. This individual is a citizen of El Salvador. He was illegally in the United States and was returned to his country. That's where you deport people, back to their country of origin, except for Venezuela that wasn't refusing to take people back or places like that. I can tell you this, Mr. President. No, the foreign policy of the United States is conducted by the President of the United States, not by a court. And no court in the United States has a right to conduct the foreign policy of the United States. It's that simple. End of story.
Well, guys, as you can see, they got owned fake news CNN. I hope you guys enjoyed that reaction. Please like, comment, subscribe. Hope you have a blessed night. Peace. Love you guys.